Good evening. I'm Tom Brokaw with NBC Nightly News. Mehmet Ali Agca, the Turkish terrorist who shot the Pope. From the moment that he was arrested, the question was what to believe of his astonishing story. Today, Agca raised even more questions when he appeared in a Rome courtroom and declared, "I am Jesus Christ." The outburst came at the opening of a trial of 7 men accused of conspiring with Agca to assassinate Pope John Paul. As Keith Miller reports, it was not an encouraging day for Italian prosecutors.
Dio eterno onnipotente, io annuncio la fine del mondo, io sono Gesù Cristo.
The state star witness interrupted the first day of the trial to announce he was Jesus Christ and proclaim the end of the world. It was not a good start for the prosecution or the court. Agca's performance in his cell and on the stand is making the prosecution uncomfortable. He is the state's prime witness, and his credibility or lack of it will determine the outcome of the trial. The state is attempting to prove that Agca, already serving a life sentence for shooting the Pope, did not act alone. Based on Agca's sworn statements, prosecutors indicted 3 Bulgarians and 4 Turks for conspiracy to assassinate the Pope. But there are as many defendants out of the country as present at the trial. The defense moved that 2 of the Bulgarians be excluded from the proceedings, claiming diplomatic immunity. The prosecution argued that trying to kill the Pope was hardly a part of a diplomat's normal activities. The prosecution also demanded that 6 men, some directly connected to the case, be brought to Rome. The defendants present, including the lone Bulgarian, Sergei Antonov, sat impassively. Agca started his testimony composed. He said Omar Bakshi supplied the gun which he used to shoot the Pope. But the microphones broke down. The translators got confused, and everyone complained that the police were in the way. The judge lost his patience.
Io non voglio gente all'impiede. Non mi costringete a sgombrare l'aula. Non voglio nessuno.
Court is adjourned until tomorrow. Keith Miller, NBC News, Rome.
No one is sure tonight just how many people have died in a giant storm that washed ashore in Bangladesh, but according to the Red Cross, the final toll may be as high as 40,000. At least 3,000 bodies already have been recovered, and as John Cochran tells us tonight, the full scope of this tragedy cannot yet be measured.
Every year at monsoon season, it's a disaster waiting to happen, and this year it happened. Wind and water slamming into an area where 8.5 million people lived. Offshore, the tiny flat islands in the Bay of Bengal offer no protection against cyclones. Whenever nature takes on man here, it's a mismatch. Winds of up to 100 miles per hour and tidal waves 15 feet high found no resistance, pushing past thatched huts and corrugated sheds, sweeping children and adults into the sea. Even oil tankers were pushed like toy ships onto land. Fishermen in small boats were not so lucky. They capsized far from land. Exactly how many perished is probably beyond calculation. Census counts of the living are unreliable in this overpopulated country. Estimates of those killed by the cyclone are even less reliable. The rest of the country can only guess, hearing gruesome rumors of whole villages swept away, and watching television reports which feature the country's military leader, General Ershad, visiting areas dry enough for helicopters to land. Thousands of cattle and other farm animals were drowned, and the salt water from tidal waves has ruined crops needed in a young country which has never been able to feed itself. Bangladesh will now look for help wherever it can get it, from Washington, from Moscow, from anywhere. Tonight, the people of Bangladesh wait for more bad news and prepare for a somber tomorrow, which has been declared a national day of mourning. John Cochran, NBC News, Dhaka, Bangladesh.
Also coming up on this Memorial Day, President Reagan at Arlington honoring the war dead, and in Florida attacking Democrats. Steve Delaney tonight with a special segment report on the grave dangers from neurotoxins, which can be found in every home. And Bill Schechner in a community where they made a lot of little dreams come true.
Hope you like sugar, because this box contains not 1, not 2, but 6 added teaspoons. This has 10, and this 18. And spoon-size shredded wheat, none. When you shred the wheat for better toasting, it tastes great naturally. So it goes against our grain to add sugar, or even salt. Nabisco shredded wheat, 0 added sugar or salt. 100% whole wheat.
Hearing Mozart mangled day after day can be a bit trying on the nerves, so I do what I can to keep from being irritable. That's why Sanka is really the only coffee for me. It's good coffee. But best of all, Sanka doesn't have a lot of caffeine that could make me lose my patience, because who knows, one of my students may turn out to be the one every music teacher dreams of.
The coffee that lets you be your best. Sanka brand decaffeinated coffee.
Renault introduces 5 years or 50,000 miles. Plus protection on required maintenance. Small car protection even better than Chrysler. 550 plus on all Renaults like the Alliance sedan. Stylish Renault Encore and 8.5, America's lowest factory financing. European technology with America's best small car protection. Only from Renault.
President Reagan used this Memorial Day holiday to kick off what he called the Second American Revolution. Tomorrow night, in a nationally televised address, the president unveils his proposal for major tax reform. And as Chris Wallace reports, the president, appearing in Florida today with Senator Paula Hawkins, went on the attack.
On a national holiday and about to launch a bipartisan drive for tax reform, the president today blistered the Democrats, accusing them of dividing the country.
While the other party is trying to build a coalition by segmenting America into warring factions, over the past years pitting white against black and women against men, young against old, we've taken a more positive path.
Speaking at a Republican fundraiser, Mr. Reagan also said if his party loses control of the Senate, the nation's security could be at stake.
The opposition often acts like a weaker America is a safer America. Well, like it or not, that's the kind of bizarre logic that will carry the day if the other party regains control of the Senate.
Reagan spokesman Larry Speake said, quote, "You give hardline speeches on holidays, but would not explain how the Democrats are dividing the country." And Speakes maintained the president's tough talk about the Democrats won't hurt chances for bipartisan cooperation on tax reform. Earlier, the president made a much less partisan stop at Disney World. Trying to bring the Reagans here, the Disney people reassembled the president's inaugural parade. A parade that was canceled last January for fear the 7-degree temperature would endanger the marching bands. Today, some of those same bands marched in 85-degree weather, and the Reagans loved it. The president also used the occasion to promote his tax plan, which he calls the Second American Revolution.
The reform that I will announce tomorrow will represent a dramatic effort to make our tax code more simple, efficient, and fair.
Mr. Reagan will continue campaigning for tax reform, going on national television tomorrow and then touring the country. But chances are the attacks on the Democrats will be dropped right here. Chris Wallace, NBC News, with the president in Florida.
At one of the president's stops in Florida today, demonstrators supporting his Central America policy attacked a group protesting U.S. involvement in that region. 3 of the pro-Reagan demonstrators and 2 of the anti-Reagan demonstrators were subsequently arrested. It was a different scene in Washington this morning. President Reagan started Memorial Day with a traditional wreath-laying ceremony at the tomb of the unknown soldier in Arlington Cemetery.
Order! Halt!
We're your type for memos and manuscripts, love letters for labels and laundry lists. If words are the way you write, we're your type. Typewriters, IBM, for typewriters, for doctor's orders, for company checks, police headquarters, for offices big and businesses small. We're your type.
Success. Spectacular success. success. To celebrate, Volkswagen presents the Success Celebration. Your chance to get exciting deals on all the exciting 1985 Volkswagens. Thrill to the cars.
I love it.
Throb to the deals. May 17th through 28th, the Volkswagen Success Celebration. Rated VW.
The Tuesday Night Bowling League is about to start.
They'll stuff themselves with pepperoni pizza and hoagies.
But soon, that's going to catch up with them.
Whether it's Cliff's heartburn or Paul's upset stomach, the one that coats is the only one they need. Pepto-Bismol. As it coats, it relieves heartburn, upset stomach, even relieves diarrhea. Pepto-Bismol. For most common stomach discomforts, the one that coats is the only one you need.
Good news from Southern California tonight. The 5 surviving septuplets are doing so well, hospital officials canceled a briefing on their condition, and their mother, Patricia Frustasi, is described as being much happier now that she's had an opportunity to touch her children. The Frustasis, by the way, have named the babies, but they've not yet released those names. Special segment tonight, dangerous neurotoxins. We hear so much these days about the dangers all around us. The temptation is to just shut it all out and go on with life. Well, as Steve Delaney tells us now, if we ignore the dangers of neurotoxins, we are at risk, often great risk.
David Friel has brain damage, and so does Charmaine Pearson. Daniel is paralyzed, and Michael Patrick Malloy is dead. What links them together is poison that attacks the central nervous system. Virtually no one is immune. The danger comes from chemicals used every day as solvents, glues, paints, thinners, cleansers. Usually derived from petroleum, they are called neurotoxins, nerve poisons.
Our ability to reason, to remember, to experience joy and sadness, these are precisely the functions which are damaged by the neurotoxins that we've been talking about.
I didn't know what I was working with the children.
What Charmaine Pearson worked with were ordinary art supplies. Her doctors say that over time she absorbed enough poison to disable her.
I couldn't remember what things were, the names of things. Then I discovered I couldn't read. Then I wasn't sure why the students were asking me questions, so I went and looked in a mirror. Then I discovered I was older, I was the teacher.
She was out of work for a year and still has holes in her memory. Her experience led the state of California to ban poisonous art supplies from elementary schools. 5 other states are considering that step. The makers of art supplies have announced a voluntary warning label program. The federal government has done nothing.
Legislatures have one advantage that regulatory agencies do not have, in that they can go ahead and regulate against a product without necessarily considering the economic ramification.
In other words, testing or labeling or removing the dangerous chemicals would cost money. Health effects are being balanced against business costs. That is a sensitive issue in Washington. In January, the president ordered his regulators to clear their proposals for change with the Office of Management and Budget, to be sure the change is in step with administration policy. That is, to get the government off the backs of business. The effect of that is that OSHA, the Labor Department agency that protects health and safety in the workplace, has ignored the government's own scientists who say chemical tolerance levels are too high. So OSHA's being sued by the Painters Union, among others, for allegedly failing to protect workers from hazardous chemicals. OSHA would not comment for this report. You can't make paint without solvents. There's no government pressure to find non-toxic solvents. But the Paintmakers Trade Association, sensitive to lawsuits, proposes changing can labels to warn against possible brain and nervous system damage, though they don't concede the danger.
There is no proof of a causal connection between exposure to solvents and any kind of permanent brain or nervous system damage.
David Friel is in court trying to prove otherwise. After 16 years of painting, he is disabled by what his doctors call brain damage due to long-term exposure to the chemicals in paint.
I never laugh anymore. I have a hard time with it. I really do.
It's sad watching him deteriorate, watching the kids turn away. And coming up times and just saying, Mom, aren't we ever going to get Dad back?
I'm at home, you know, I have to write notes. people to see, places to go, and stuff like that.
Because you don't trust your memory?
It doesn't matter, trust it, I just don't have one.
As we become more aware of this and begin to study it more, we're going to find that millions upon millions of people are being affected, and that the legacy is going to be very difficult to overcome.
Dr. Dahlgren worries about intellectual impairment, but in Daniel's case, there's no measuring whether his mind is still intact inside the wreck of his body. He's been a speechless quadriplegic for 2.5 years after spending only 2 days applying lacquers on a construction job. He is trying to communicate via computer with the one muscle he can move in his thumb. The doctors blame Daniel's condition on that brief exposure to chemical poisons in the lacquer. The same product is on the market for home use. Its impact may depend on the conditions of use, on how much of the fumes you breathe, or on your own physical makeup. If you are large and strong, perhaps the first effects of being exposed to neurotoxins are headaches and dizziness. Michael Patrick Malloy was not large, was not strong. For 9 days last spring, he lived in this house in Columbus, Ohio. At the age of 2 weeks, breathing toxic fumes from the lacquer on his cradle killed him. That was the finding of the coroner who did the autopsy and examined the cradle. His parents had waited years to adopt a baby, and they were devastated.
I've never known so much joy and so much tragedy in such a short amount of time. I thought he made me complete.
The stain used on Michael's crib is available at your local hardware store. Steve Delaney, NBC News, Columbus, Ohio.
I like things that last. This old car runs like a watch. My house is over 96 years old. Been married to Enid 23 years. Here's the first new thing I bought in 8 years. 9. It's a Honda lawnmower. Overhead valve design, real durable. I bought it because it'll last. Like my dog, 12 years old. Known Fred forever. This shirt belonged to my dad.
The Honda lawnmower. It could be the last lawnmower you ever buy.
Tell the truth. Is there a really great tasting decaffeinated coffee?
Oh, yes. Taster's Choice Decaffeinated. It's made with the same superior Arabica beans found in gourmet coffee stores. Naturally decaffeinated, using only water and natural decaffeinators for the purest coffee taste. Naturally decaffeinated Taster's Choice. One more reason why the choice for taste is Taster's Choice.
I don't want some wimpy tasting cereal.
If you want bushels of taste,
Fruitful Brand.
I don't want some itty bitty taste. Peaches, raisins, apples, dates.
Fruitful Brand. Did you say peaches?
Bushels of flavor swimming in the flakes. Fruitful Brand has bushels of taste.
High fiber Kellogg's Fruitful Brand. Now with even more fruit, because we added
peaches.
Bushels and bushels and bushels of taste in Kellogg's Fruitful Brand.
Now with peaches.
Chicago's legendary gangster Al Capone has been dead for almost 40 years now, but he's back in the news today because of something he may have left behind. Workers renovating an old hotel that once was his headquarters have discovered what looks like a secret vault. As Cassandra Clayton reports tonight, even Uncle Sam is claiming a share of whatever is inside.
Public enemy number one.
Al Capone made millions during the 1920s and early 30s from bootlegging whiskey, gambling, prostitution, and other assorted rackets. But Capone was convicted of income tax evasion in 1931 and sent to prison. Now there's new speculation whether Capone stashed his cash anywhere. The mystery is centered around the Lexington Hotel, once Capone's home and headquarters. The hotel's new owners are turning it into a women's museum, and they've discovered secret passageways, tunnels, and what may be a vault.
My instinct is telling me that there's money. Ever since I walked into this building the first time, I've known I'm going to find something.
If I'd have went to jail, know I was going, I'd have stashed some money.
What appears to be a vault is behind this wall of crudely poured concrete. The building owners estimate it 6 feet thick, 6 feet high, and about as long as a city block. What is inside?
Money. They're talking money.
But if there is money, guess who wants a share? The people who put Capone in jail, the federal government. The IRS has already refiled a lien on Capone's estate, including anything found in the vault. The IRS wants $200,000 in unpaid taxes, plus $605,000 in penalties and interest, even though Capone died in 1947. But all the speculation may be pointless. Not everyone, including some of the workers renovating the hotel, sees dollar signs.
I think they would have got the money out by now.
I don't think there's anything in there. As a foundation, as a not-for-profit, as a training program, I'd love to see money in there. But I'm just hoping we don't find any bodies.
Nevertheless, the hotel owners plan to drill through the vaults next month to end the mystery. Is it bounty? Is it bones? Cassandra Clayton, NBC News, Chicago.
This is Alexandra Isles. She is the missing witness at Claus von Bülow's retrial for the attempted murder of his wife. Isles, von Bülow's former mistress, came out of hiding in Europe today and returned home, apparently to testify against him. The prosecution had to produce her by tomorrow, a risk of mistrial. At von Bülow's first trial, Isles testified that she had given him a 6-month deadline to leave his wife and marry her. After Spendebuck won the Kentucky Derby, he was entered not in the Preakness, the second race of the so-called Triple Crown, but in the upstart and very rich Jersey Derby. The reason? A victory there would earn the richest racing prize in history, $2,600,000. When the race started this afternoon, Spendebuck, wearing number 5, took an early lead. And then, well, watch as track announcer Dave Johnson calls the finish.
Mr. Secretary, are you saying no further cuts can be made?
That is correct, Senator.
I see here enormous expenditures on Meistercraft.
Our boys deserve an expensive beer, sir.
My committee informs me it's not expensive, just tastes expensive.
Actually, that's under my assistant, Mr. Macklin.
Well, what's he doing with the money he's supposed to spend on beer?
Oh, Mac, it's a darling little boat.
Rich, smooth Meisterbrow. It only tastes expensive.
Miss Jane Russell.
What makes a full-figured woman shine? An 18-hour figure. 18-hour bras and girdles from Playtex turn your full figure into a fabulous 18-hour figure. The unique 18-hour fabric stretches all over for really comfortable support, very comfortable control. It's a wonderful feeling, a wonderful look. The 18-hour figure with Playtex 18-hour bras and girdles.
Try our new seamless 18-hour bras, now at super introductory savings.
And a big happy birthday in our second hour to Bob Hope.
Join us tomorrow morning on Today.
Did you know coffee can give you bad breath? Truth is, most anything you eat or drink can turn on you. That's why I carry Cloretz. Cloretz has Actazole with chlorophyll, which helps clean up bad breath fast. Cloretz, because you have bad breath more often than you think.
You know this crew gets heartburn, and when they do, there's no time to stop. No wonder so many people take Rolaids. With Rolaids, you can keep going. Rolaids spells 100% relief.
Whatever the calendar says, Memorial Day is, after all, the unofficial beginning of summer, that best of all seasons for children. And what could be a better summer than one in which a fantasy becomes a reality? Tonight, Bill Schechner takes us to a small town in New York where the whole community got involved in just such a magical transformation.
No question. The kids in Canandaigua know what they want. A full-scale, all-color fantasy out behind the school.
I think I'd really love an obstacle course. Well, I would like a totem pole.
What would you do with your totem pole?
Climb it. I want a castle, and it should be painted bright colors, real tall and pretty big.
Discovering childhood dreams is easy. The magic is taking them seriously.
Let me show you the plan.
It's the work of Harvard-trained architect Bob Leathers. He once did office buildings for big shots. His clients are now school kids.
A ladder?
A ladder to the fort. Do we even have a ladder? How do we get to the fort? That's a good question. Good question.
He's built almost 250 playgrounds, taking the kids' ideas and making them happen. He says the kids' creativity has never let him down.
First thing is we learned about kids is that they have fantastic imaginations. And if we just give them a chance, different ideas we can come up with are almost unlimited.
Nothing of my ideas ever happened before. Never came true.
How do you feel about this one coming true?
Real happy.
Okay, Brian, want to take the rope back up now?
The kids' enthusiasm is catching. It turns out the town. Up and down Main Street, the playground is what people are talking about.
What time are you going up to now?
Oh, probably after dinner.
Yeah.
Pound a few nails.
Everybody's helping out.
It starts at 7 a.m. They are all volunteers. They will build the playground in 4 days, and the kids are right in the middle.
You feel like you can do more things. You can do the things that the adults can do, and it makes you happy.
What do you like about it?
How good I'm doing on it?
How good are you doing?
Very good.
How do you know?
Because my mom's been telling me.
The sun sets, the job continues, picks up again next morning.
You look lovely while you're working, you know that?
Time out for a fact. For those who don't think this is such a big event in Canandaigua, look at it this way. If it were New York City and the same proportion of the population turned out, there would be 420,000 people building a playground.
Nice and straight, buddy. Hold it. Hit it back nice and straight now. Atta boy.
You ever done anything like this as a family?
It's the first time together we've really done something.
Well, how is it?
Fantastic. Really fantastic.
I think it's good for the parents to help us and stuff.
Why do you think that?
Because we didn't get it done, how would we get it done?
Okay, up with it. Okay,
The totem pole, the last item in. After 62 hours and about 60,000 nails, the playground is done. There's only one thing left.
Okay, is everybody ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's perfect. I think it's great. It's the best playground, I think, in the whole world.
Bill Schechner, NBC News, Canandaigua, New York.
That's Nightly News for this Memorial Day Monday night. I'm Tom Brokaw. Good night from all of us at NBC News.
Tonight, it's an all-star TV bloopers with Johnny Carson, Lonnie Anderson, and Linda Carter on a topsy-turvy show where even the Muppets make mistakes. Then Stephanie Powers as identical twins. Tonight you'll learn which one will be murdered and which one will risk her life to find the killer, based on the bestseller Deception. Tonight.
Up next, on the scene at 6, an apartment fire damages a North Nashville home, and one man drowns at Percy Priest Lake today.
Also tonight, we'll have a Memorial Day tribute to those Tennesseans who gave their life for their country. And we'll begin a year-long series on race relations with a look back at a Nashville sit-in.
These stories and more news coming up next on The Scene at 6.
Folks, this is a new Baptist Medical Plaza. It was designed to keep you out of the hospital. You think Baptists would do that if they had to worry about profit for stockholders? No way. And when you don't have stockholders to worry about, you can do a lot of different things with your income. So they put their money into new